So we're out in the bicycle bat cave today, and I want to talk a little bit about Kydex. If you're familiar with this stuff, I'm not sure. It's used a lot for making holsters and knife sheaths. It's like a hard plastic that you can heat with a heat gun and then mold to whatever it is you want. So I had an idea to use some of this to form a little place on the bike. So if you're familiar on the back of your bike where the rack meets the seat post, there's an area that's oftentimes kind of not really used for items, and it's at danger of being rubbed by the tire. And I've always wanted something that was kind of like a fender or a plastic piece to mold in there that would sort of keep the dirt and keep a bag from rubbing on that area, but would utilize that space for storage. For me, what I'm most interested in are tools or those kinds of things to be able to put in a pouch in there. And before I could even think about that, I wanted to make sure whatever it was wouldn't rub on the tire. So I thought about having a piece of this Kydex cut, molded to fit in that space to sort of form two functions. One is kind of like a mini fender, keep dirt and mud and so forth off of any product or item I put there, but also to protect it from chafe and rubbing on the tire and things like that, because that's a place where it is relatively close to the tire. So I thought this would be a good experiment to play with some Kydex. My first time working with it. Like I said, it is used oftentimes with holsters and knives and things like that to be molded to fit to them. What's supposed to be nice about it is you can heat it, mold it, and then when it cools, it maintains that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a template. I've got a piece of cardboard from an Amazon box. I'm going to use that to make a template. This is what I'm thinking is something like that. Should give plenty of tire clearance, but still kind of be sort of like fender protection for anything I want to put behind the seat right there. So we know this, we want this to be our bend point, so we're just going to mark that on here. I've never worked with bending any of this. This is a craft style heat gun. It's small, has a really direct nozzle. So I'm going to try heating this and see how the bend happens from there. I'm going to be sure to put some gloves on. Okay, it's getting soft. It doesn't take it long at all. You can see that, maybe. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is get a piece of metal to use as a straight edge. With a bend. Okay, that's soft. doesn't take a lot of heat to get that to bend, and this is sort of in that shape already. So I think now I can just heat basically where these bends are across here. Put a little shape to that. I'm gonna mark that here and here. And it doesn't take nearly as much heat as I would have expected. And really direct it right where this section is. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's even moving on its own a little bit now. It's starting to bend. Trying to keep everything lined up. So yeah, that stuff's actually pretty cool. I think then what I can do is I can drill some holes and zip tie this around drill a couple holes here, zip tie it here, and I'll put a hole here to put this bolt back in. And I'm happy with that. There's plenty of room underneath here between the tire. And that molded in there pretty nice. See that bolt fits through there. The idea is that this is just going to fit in here. I'll put this, you can see that. And this is going to go in here and just screw into this fender mount location. I just want to talk a minute about what was the whole point of this, even though I don't have the zip ties on there yet. I have to get some zip ties for it, but the point of all of this was that when I want to put, if I have a bag here, I have all this space between here and here that's really pretty wasted. And some people think a seat bag will do that, but if you've seen those, they're usually not big enough. So I'd like to custom make a bag of some sort that fits here. My wife has a Sailrite sewing machine for sailing stuff and sews lots of things. So I think we could purchase some X-Pack material and make a bag that would fit in this area right here. And that would have, what I envision is having side zippers in it so that you can more easily get into the stuff. If you've been bikepacking, if you put a bag here and you have one of these bags here, you can't often get into the stuff in it. So I'd like to put all of my sort of maintenance items like a spare tube and tools and all that stuff in a bag that fits in this area and comes up to like maybe here. And this will help protect it from dirt, mud, chafe, wear, and all those things. Not to mention, it acts as a very simple fender also to kind of keep water and mud off this part of the area of the seat, the bags, and everything. This stuff is actually pretty amazing. You can buy this on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for what I purchased. It's very easy with a crafting style heat gun to heat this and mold it to any shape you want. It cuts easily. I started out using a Dremel. The Dremel just kind of melted it more, so I found that a jigsaw, a hacksaw with a metal blade easily cuts through this and leaves a fairly clean edge that you can then sand off. But I can see a lot of uses for this stuff. It can be molded to any shape, and then when it cools, it just holds that shape. It's a very neat material. Not cheap, not expensive, but not cheap. A couple of sheets of it, I think, were $30, but in the grand scheme, it's kind of fun to mess around with too. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this project. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments. Talk to you soon.